what happened was I got a job working for Ozzy Osbourne to be a dog nanny to his dogs. He had about 14.
Welcome to the Motive for Life radio show. This is Robert Christensen. Thank you for joining me. Abby Elliott is a dog trainer, not just any dog trainer. She's certified, but she also was a member of our Mastermind group. And I wanted to talk with her about her journey and what she discovered in her process, and not only working with Ozzy Osbourne and their dogs, but her elevation of self-worth and how it mattered to her. Hey, Abby, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
I have been very excited about the opportunity to speak with you and have you discuss your journey that you and I have crossed paths on, and I'm super glad you're here.
Me too.
So tell us a little bit about yourself. Let's start from the beginning, if you would.
Oh my God, got a few days.
Yeah, no kidding. So, one of the things I've always really found intriguing is that you're a dog trainer.
Yes.
Things that you do. And so tell us how you got into dog training and just, how that got pulled, that pull for you to make that happen.
I've loved dogs ever since I was basically conscious. So about 5, and I've always loved dogs. And I worked in animal hospitals. And what happened was I got a job working for Ozzy Osbourne to be a dog nanny to his dogs. He had about 14.
14 dogs?
14 dogs. Yep. And they weren't house trained. But anyway, and so this dog trainer came over because Kelly had won a lab, and that was the biggest dog they had. And the lab was a lab, and they're a bit crazy. They're great dogs, but out of control. And she said, why don't you be my assistant? So she ended up training me. I thought her ways were a little harsh, and so I kind of retrained myself. And that's how I got into dog training.
So the Osbournes and that reality show that they were living at the time, all right, was your launching into dog training.
Yes. And I was living that reality too.
That's awesome.
I'm actually in one show, but it was in the 4th season. I have trouble finding the 4th season. And my little Chihuahua Boris, who I ended up adopting from them because I fell in love with him. He was in the show a few episodes as well. So we're both kind of famous, I guess you could say.
Well, all I remember, my wife and I used to love watching the Osbournes. It was the true first reality show.
It was.
I mean, but before anything, I remember seeing that and going, why are these people following Ozzy Osbourne and his wife and family around with cameras?
Right.
But then you just got sucked in. You had to watch because it was such a train wreck half the time.
I hadn't seen the show before I started working there. So
really? So they had 3 seasons ahead of you before that happened?
Yeah. Oh. I was like, oh yeah, I think I heard of that show, but I never watched it.
Oh, it was famous at that time. Oh my God, yes. Those seasons.
It was super famous.
What was her name? Her name was Sharon?
Sharon. Mm-hmm.
Sharon. She was the brains behind that.
Yeah. Yes.
You could tell.
She was the brains. Very nice people. Ozzy was I adored him. He was very sensitive and really funny. I mean, hysterical. He was hysterical.
Seriously?
Yes. The funniest person I've ever known.
Are you? Oh my gosh. Did you see that? You get a little bit of that from the show, but you did. I think it's that persona, huh? But as soon as he drops it, right, and starts cracking jokes and stuff like that, he's not quite the bat biting,
No. Why does everybody always bring that up?
Because you did it.
Yeah. And I learned to interpret for people too, because they'd say, what did he say? And I'm like, oh, he just said.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What did he say? That's right.
Yeah. People had trouble understanding him, but it took me a bit, but I could perfectly understand him. So
I find it so intriguing, people's personal journeys, right? How they land on what they're doing and stuff. And I know that you've been involved with dog training, which I love dogs, and I've,
okay.
I trained dogs when I was a kid, and I learned how to train hunting dogs. And we had Springer Spaniels and Labs and various things like that when I was growing up. And then as I got older and started learning that it was really more people training as opposed to dog training.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So tell us, a little bit about, your recent journey. You and I crossed paths through a common group, a gratitude, I think it's called a gratitude.
Yes.
We wrote like that. So what got you into that group? Then you and I crossed paths. Tell that story if you don't mind.
The reason I got into it was because I'm assuming I can say that I'm been sober for quite a few years.
I would have hoped that you would assume that you would say that because you and I
Anonymous?
both, that's how we know
I
each
don't
other.
know. Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's okay. Go for it.
Yeah. Okay. Good. I always kind of like to ask a little permission, but I've been sober for quite a few years. But spiritually, I felt I was struggling quite a bit, and so Napoleon spoke at a meeting I would listen to, a Zoom meeting, and invited people to his meeting. And that got the ball rolling on a more spiritual journey and affirmations and stuff like that. And then when I heard you talk about the difference between self-worth and self-esteem, I went, stop the presses. I felt that was truly a missing link for me, because I'd go up and then I'd go down. Then I'd start to do a little better, then I'd go down. And it's just been that way my entire life, and I thought, wow, he must know not only the reason, but have an answer for it. So that's because he has a lot of quote unquote advisors and then people that come on, but that really struck a chord with me. And that's how that started for me. I think a lot of people tend to struggle. I'm speaking for myself in sobriety at some point. I think it can be very difficult. I also suffer from depression. That's how that just really called to me. You called to me.
Well, I remember that specific meeting where Napoleon wanted me to speak. And it was the largest group I've spoke to on the topic. It was most of the groups I spoke to were, they're smaller and stuff like that, but there was like 55 people on the group at that particular time. And in hindsight, that was a big group for the previous sessions I had seen. There was quite a few people that came on.
Right.
And the part which really struck me was that we were supposed to end around 8:15, and we went for another hour after that.
Yeah.
People were asking all these questions and stuff like that. So it really triggered it that there was a need there. And so in your journey, you said you were really struggling with where you were spiritually and stuff like that. Why did you connect self-worth with that spiritual piece? Was there something that was calling to you that said that was an important connection?
Well, it was for the simple reason I couldn't figure out why I started and stopped so many things. And financially too, I mean, honestly, I think like my sister's kids come from really good role models, and her husband makes good money. And I think that helps. And my family didn't. I think role models have something to do with motivation for financial success. I believe that. But I've always struggled financially because we never had enough money. So that was the other part. I'm like, why can't I get this together? And I kind of blew through 3 husbands, and that's another that's another podcast. That's another
podcast. How I blew through 3 husbands.
3 husbands. Yes. In a very short time. Yes. So I'm like, what am I doing wrong? And what's the dynamic that's going on here that because I couldn't figure it out. I would start to do well, and then I'd come crashing down. I'm like, and I just thought maybe it's because I grew up with an alcoholic father. And maybe part of that is it, but it wasn't how it just kept, repeating over and over and over again. And
it's a struggle. That what you just said there, someone told me this, gave me this analogy a couple of days ago. It was like swinging from branch to branch.
Yes.
And I thought to myself, that is really spot on, because I'm not stacking any of my successes. I'm not like building on a previous one, right? I'd start a little fire over there, get it burning and stuff like that, and then just walk away.
Yeah. Like, and thinking that was the way it's supposed to be.
Yes.
It's normal to just kind of keep failing.
If you get to the point in your life where you think it's normal to fail, it makes it exceptionally difficult to accept a win that's coming into your life, because it's just going to end.
Yes, yes. And I thought, well, I'm just like my dad. And my dad was brilliant. He was 25 years ahead of himself, an artist. And he was funny and nice, just wonderful. But he wasn't into the big money scene. He was an artist, and he started drinking again after he was dry drunk for 12 years and died tragically when I turned 16. So I figured that's what happened. Even if you have a lot of talent, you're still going to fail. You're just never going to get there.
So those images, language, and emotions were pretty wired into you at an early age.
Yes, they absolutely were.
Pretty durable. And I remember that about our conversations we've had. One of the challenges I remember that you were vocalizing during the coursework was, I'm having a hard time just simply turning the knob on worthiness one click. It was that it was kind of, it was almost like cement for you.
Yes.
And just getting you to acknowledge that you were that you were worthy of a level up.
Correct.
And to stay there was such a challenge. And I remember we went through all those weeks together. And so you ended the course really interesting when you said something. You want to share that? Remember that?
No.
It's so funny what I remember and what other people don't.
Yes, you can tell it though. It's like,
okay. Well, what you said was really interesting because you told a story to somebody who you said about what you're charged for your dog service.
That, yes.
Yeah. What, that story?
Oh, that story. So I'm worried about a somewhat normal fee that I'm charging for my dog training business. And the minute somebody even gasps, I'm like, oh my God, I'm charging too much. Come to find out there's a person who's, more well-known than me and is pretty up there. And he charges like $400 an hour. And I'm like, well, what am I worried about? But I'm so reactive to what people will think that I'm just not good enough to charge more. I'm just not, it was so difficult for me to think above and beyond that. And you're like,
right.
Well, just do it. I'm like, but I'm scared. People aren't going to do it. I just kind of crawl back into that little red zone there. And it's amazing how that happens.
When you had that, we came to the last day of this particular course that we went through. And you related a story of when you were standing in front of somebody and you said how much you charge, their response had no effect on you. You just stood there. You said, this is what I charge.
Eye to eye. Yeah.
Eye to eye.
Yeah.
Remember that conversation?
Yes. And it was like, oh, I don't know if I've ever felt that before, And I feel like because I'm not 20 anymore, it's going to get like with dogs, habits and behaviors become ingrained. So I think a lot of this stuff with me is ingrained, and therefore I might have to work a little harder. That's okay. I don't have a problem with that, but try and climb out of that sense of not enough, which, by the way, I just have to mention, I love that time you explained the difference between self-worth and self-esteem, because I thought they were one and the same.
Me too.
Yeah.
And when I was doing the initial works years ago and doing the research, all I could find was conversations and research and investigations and various things on self-esteem. And it was pretty fluffy too. There were studies and various professionals, who were doing work around self-esteem, but it wasn't measurable.
Yes.
Right? How do you measure somebody's self-esteem? You just,
right.
Right. So you can't. And so that's difficult. And then when I realized that you could have very good self-esteem, but believe you'll never make more than $50,000 a year.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
You've always had high self-esteem when it came to your abilities to be a dog trainer. I mean, every time I talk to you about it, you do this. I'm very good at what I do. Right.
Yeah.
But when it came to the money aspect or what I'm worthy of and stuff like that, And so that really indicates the separation between the two, that they are fundamentally different things.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, absolutely. And it's just great when somebody finally, it's like you get almost hit over the head. Like I had no idea that's what was going on.
Is there any particular spot right now that you're trying to like polish better or get a little bit further up and maybe click up that knob on self-worth?
I'm going to be honest, and I'm also doing voiceover too, and I keep putting that off.
Right.
So, it's like, why haven't I made a demo yet? Okay. I am working diligently on my memoir though. So when it comes out, The Dog at the End of the Rainbow, please pick up a copy. Anyway.
We will do that.
Yes. So actually a woman the other day was a new client said, boy, I had to go to my trust and get this money out because she bought a package. I brought the packages back. Yay. So I get a nice big lump sum of money. I had to do this and that. And I just said, and I told her about this other person. I said, well, there's this person, Michael Chill that charges this much per hour. And that kind of gave me an edge. But the other thing that feels really good, because academically, I, quit when I was in the 9th grade. I went back and got my GED, but I just did terrible in school. And I got a huge certification. I am a certified professional dog trainer. And when I put my card on the table and it has my initials on that, I don't know, there was something about going the extra mile, and I was terrified, and I thought I was going to fail this test because I just don't do tests well. I just don't do schooling well. And when I passed the test, that was such a big moment for me. So that sort of helped me with the woman feeling like, this is what I charge and you're getting a great deal.
Now listen to that voice right there.
Yeah.
Okay. So when I first met you, you didn't have that voice.
Yeah. That confident voice. Yeah.
That confident voice right there. Because that was something that you and I were specifically, when we sat out, the technique inside the course is called the hot seat, right? Where you and I would talk while the others would listen, right? And we talk about and go through the questions. Getting you to the point where you said, I'm worthy of what I'm charging. And here's why. And it took, I don't know, it must have took us a half hour over a period of time, meetings.
Pull it out of me.
I pull it out of you about why you were worthy of, and it turns out you're a certified dog trainer. Right. Oh, by the way, I'm a trainer to the stars. And oh, by the way, I do this. And oh, by the way, I have this. And I was like going, oh my gosh, this woman is a rock star when it comes to dog training, and they'd be lucky to have you. And so that level up between that to now, and hearing you just throw those words out today is such an encouraging lift from the last time you and I talked, which has been about, 6 or 8 weeks now since we last talked.
Yes. Yes. I just wish, I'm sure other people wish this too. It would go faster.
Yeah.
Come on. Look how long it took me to get my definite purpose finally out to you. It's like, but I did it. And I guess.
So let's talk a little bit about that for our audience. A definite purpose is a written document that states how much I want to make, what quality of health I want, how I want my career to be, how I want my relationships to be, and how I'd like my life as a whole to be. And it typically runs about 1 page. And I provide the students,
everything.
Of course, pretty much I write the whole thing.
You do. Yeah, we change the numbers. Yeah.
But what happens is other members started, as they got more comfortable with it, they started changing it. They started pulling it apart, right?
I'm doing that too. Yeah.
That's exactly what we want to happen. Because, these clothes fit initially, but I'm going to change them around. I'm going to swap around. Maybe I can change. And so that definite purpose is such a critical piece for the next level of change. The gift is the first cycle, but then the definite purpose comes in on the second or the third cycle, depending on what people go through. So tell us about why that document was hard for you to put into action.
I think because I had to be 100% accountable for moving forward with myself only. I had to.
Interesting.
Yeah. I have to, if I'm going to say this, then I have to do this. And could I really do it? See, that's that
Yeah.
lurking in the background there. Do you really think you can pull this off, Abby? Come on now. Do you really? And the gift helped me so much because, and I did it faithfully. I did it faithfully. I think there was one night there was one night out of the 90 days that I didn't do it. But other than that, it changes you when just the action of, saying all these wonderful words that you wrote just was so helpful, and things were looking up. But now I'm getting really specific. So
Yes.
now I have to really, follow through with more and do more work. I'm the first to admit I'm kind of scared, I'm kind of scared.
When you put into action the definite purpose and you just read it like the gift, it has the same effect of attracting to you
Yes.
what's inside that.
Right.
So the only work that's necessary is for you to read it every day.
Okay. Really?
That's it. Yeah.
Why didn't somebody tell me that?
I did say that.
You did. You probably did.
Several times.
Oh my God. I keep thinking there has to be more.
There's not.
Oh, see, that's the other thing I have trouble grasping, because it seems to me that anything worthwhile is never easy. It's never simple. It's never, this is dedication, but I'm just reading, for God's sake.
Well, here, let's step back a second. Okay, so let's put a little science involved in it. So human brain is fundamentally plastic. It's 20% of our energy is burned up by our brain. It's basically a bunch of electrical connections set in water. That's what our brain is. And it's connected to a whole bunch of neural pathways throughout our body. So it's all electricity. It's electricity rolling through it all, okay? And what they learned over the last 20 years in neuroscience is that the brain is pliable. We can change the pathways, right?
Right.
Now, as we've got older, those pathways are a little bit have more ruts, right? The roads have a little bit deeper ruts. Okay, we know that, right?
Yeah.
A little rusty, right? But they still can change.
Yes.
They still can change. All right. And so what the gift does over a 90-day period is rewire. We're using classic psychology, classic Pavlov conditioning. And that is repeat the same sentences over and over and over and over again for 90 days. You will rewire a fundamental part of your body towards having a basic values of yourself. You will start being more worthy of greater things.
Yes.
That's what that thing does. And you don't have to do anything other than read and talk out loud. Now, the next step in that same methodology, 90 days, morning and evening, reading out loud, is we write our definite purpose. And that definite purpose you read twice a day, in the morning and the evening, for 90 days. And what'll happen is the same thing that happens with the gift. So let's say that making $100,000 is on somebody's definite purpose. And you say, hey, and the first thing it says, I'm so happy and grateful now that I'm making $100,000 a year. I'm grateful for all the believers and supporters surround me as a world-class dog trainer. And you fill in those words. So after 90 days, that's all you think. Okay. Now, so that's the conditioning part of the body.
Yes.
The other part of this is spiritual. Okay. And this is the part where people kind of start shifting gears, right? They kind of go, wait a second now. You're going to start getting woo-woo on me, right? Yes, I'm going to get woo-woo on you. Okay. There is a fundamental law of attraction that like attracts like.
Yes.
And when you have an electrical system, your body and your mind, broadcasting out a pattern that says, I am making 100 grand. I am the world's best dog trainer. I am these things. People who want to work with people like that find you. And they come into your life. They start orbiting you.
Right. And I remember you talking about that. I remember you talking, the people will find you,
They will find you.
Yes, you'll just be advertising mentally. That's all. Yeah. So
that's exactly it.
It's all coming back to me now.
This is
Thank God.
Well, here's the process, right? So we define what we want and then put affirmations together that reinforce that, so that our system, our routine engine, the system inside us will naturally absorb that and say, I only want these things right now, right now, right now. This is what I want. This is what I want. And it's doing it unconsciously on your behalf.
Mm-hmm.
Just like your heartbeat, growing of your fingernails, your hair, your body,
Right.
whatever. It's also broadcasting, I do these things and I am this person. And you know how it works. When you know it's working is when you suddenly are starting to find yourself do things that were a problem before, but just seem natural now.
Yes.
And when you said, so it's when I knew it was working for you, when you stood in front of that person and you said, this is how much I made, and you didn't have to defend it. You just stated it as a matter of fact. And I go, that's it. There it is. That was exact. Okay. So those are the indicators that tell us we're doing the right thing, is when it becomes more natural for us to do these things as opposed to a fight.
Right. And like anything else, I'm sure it takes time to get everything feeling that way. It just, it doesn't happen overnight.
And this is the part. Well, this is the part that is the work, is that we got to do it every day. And if we don't do it every day, we I wouldn't say we stall, but there's just no progress, right? So we'll be, some people are just happy to get to a certain point. They said, oh my God, I never thought I'd make $80,000 a year. Mm-hmm. And they get there and they're going, whew, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And so success is strictly a personal conversation that a person has to have for themselves, wherever they are in their life. Like I know your definition of success is different than mine, which is different than my daughters or different than my sons, right? Mm-hmm. Or my wife's or anybody else like that.
Sure.
So talk to us a little bit about voiceover work.
I have always loved entertaining when I was a little girl, and I used to sing in bands, and I used to do a little acting before everything went south with drugs and alcohol. And so I decided several years ago, why don't I do voiceover? Especially since Hollywood seems to like women not much older than 20. So I thought voiceover would be a great way to go. And I took some classes and blah, blah, blah. And then I stopped. And this was after I was sober. And so I picked it up again, and then I stopped a little. And now I have my studio. I have a little studio in here, and I'm getting some coaching, but I keep putting off making a demo because I don't think I'm ready. And do I want to do commercial, or do I want to do narration? Do I want to do characters? Because I'm like to have fun and be funny. But I like the idea. I like it. I like performing. That's one of the things I've always done, and I'm trying to finally get back at it again after years and years of delay. So that's where I'm at with that now.
When I close my eyes and I listen to you, you sound like the voiceover for the animated show called Archer. You ever seen Archer?
No.
It was an adult cartoon. It's an adult cartoon. But he's a buffoon secret agent man who's an alcoholic, sex addict. All right. He can't seem to get anything straight, but he's super, super good at being a super agent. And his family runs this like boutique super agent company, right? And they do all these clandestine moves and stuff like that. Anyways, they're just terrible at what they do. And the mother is the matriarch of the whole place. Oh my, she's just this black widow, right? Anyways, you sound just like her. And she was an amazing woman. You know who it was? That. She was, I can't remember that.
I'll Google it. I'll find it on
But
YouTube or something.
Oh my gosh, she was so good. And anyways, but I think about those type of characters when I hear your voice about, a very sharp woman voice that cuts right through everybody else's crap, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's me. And
that's totally you.
That's me. And then it's like, okay, but a commercial demo costs this, and then the character. So I've been spending a lot of money on, so I want to start. And then I really wanted to do audiobooks, but that is so much editing.
So do your demo.
Yeah.
Just do a demo.
A commercial one. Yeah. Because there's a commercial.
Just do a demo. You produce it.
I can't. You have to have a professional. They run about I found a place through this one person they're like $1,200 and that's cheap. So
okay.
yeah.
You would know, I don't. So
yes.
I'll leave it into your capable hands to figuring that stuff out.
Yeah. So
when are you going to do it?
Good question. You caught me. God damn it.
That's what I do, right? Yeah.
I like it though. No, I'm coaching with someone now with narration. I keep skipping around when I feel like I could make a good demo that'll get me work. I'm just not sure if I'm ready yet. I'm still doing workouts every week. Everything comes slow to me. Everything is always very slow with me. It's always been that way.
How about a new mantra?
Yeah. Okay.
I learn rapidly.
Okay.
My brain is highly active and I consume knowledge at a rapid rate.
I can do that.
So you hear what you were saying. I learn slowly.
Yes.
Okay. Starting today, that is a phrase that never comes out of your mouth.
Okay.
Okay. That is what I call a low self-worth statement. I know you, Abby, you're not that at all. You are very rapid. You are a very smart woman and a very skilled woman, but you have language that says that you're not. And it's time for new language that says I'm a very skilled voice actor. Just those fundamentals. So take those ones that you were saying and then write the opposite of them.
Okay. And that's like that extra sheet I sent you that between the purpose statement and the gift, I decided to create my own type of mantra, which there you
go. And it was great. And so that's how you would start the next phase, right? It's that you take everything that you think about yourself, and then if it's negative, write the opposite, and that becomes the new set of things that you're going to do. The new
thing. Okay. Rather than be comfortable with being a slow learner, because for a long time, because before it was like, okay, I'm a slow learner. And I thought, I was dumb and stupid. And then, because I didn't do well with school, but nobody knew that I was a better visual learner and I did okay with art and choir, but nobody knew that back then. So I felt stupid and dumb. And my sister is brilliant and straight A's, but she's really nice. So yeah. And then I was like, I'm a slow learner. And then I was like, but it's okay to be slow. So that's what I was.
I hear you. You're exactly right. Okay. I come at things differently. You come at things differently.
Yes. But I didn't believe that for a long time.
I know.
And I did, I cut school, smoking and drinking and cutting classes, getting expelled. I mean, I was a nightmare. I really was.
You're not a nightmare now. You haven't been
no longer. Yeah.
No longer.
Yeah.
Well, Abby, I really want to thank you so very much for being on the show. It's been such a pleasure.
Oh, me too. I thoroughly enjoyed this.